critiquing the 48 laws of power, laws 21 to 30, the architecture of identity, the mask of the fool, laws 21 and 22. Law 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. Quoting Robert Greene. No one likes feeling stupider than the next person. The trick then is to make your victims feel smart, and not just smart, but smarter than you are. Once convinced of this, they will never suspect that you may have ulterior motives. In your 30s, 40s, and sometimes 50s, your ego is often your greatest liability. Law 21 tells us to seem dumber than our mark. It suggested, play a sucker to catch a sucker. Greene advises appearing dumber or less sophisticated than your mark. That will make them let their guard down. Let them think they are the genius and you're the clueless one. Law 21 is about playing the long game, playing, or as Jung would say, being the trickster and catching your prey off guard. Here's a Fab Four breakdown. To master this law, you must embrace the Buddhist detachment of the ego. If you aren't attached to being seen as the smartest person in the room, you gain a strategic advantage. Machiavelli would call this the ultimate mask. You actually can get your opponent to lower their guard when they buy into your feigned slowness. You create a vacuum where they feel safe and superior. Our friend Carl Jung might see this as a conscious utilization of the shadow. You are playing the fool, to speak archetypically, to hide the sage or the king beneath. From a Stoic perspective, this is a lesson in internal validation. When you are aware of your own worth, you don't need the external validation of being recognized as clever, allowing you to move through the world with invisible and precise moves. The Buddha has an afterthought. When you allow another to feel superior, their guard vanishes. In that space of their arrogance, you find your freedom. Here is Law 22, the surrender tactic. By yielding, you actually control the energy. You don't waste your strength on a pride that doesn't pay the bills. To quote Greene, when you are weaker, never fight for honor's sake. Choose surrender instead. Surrender gives you time to recover, time to torture your conqueror, time to wait for his power to wane. Do not give him the satisfaction of fighting and defeating you. Surrender first. Here's the Fab Four breakdown. Machiavelli viewed surrender not as a defeat, but as a maneuver, a way to deny the enemy the glory of a total victory while keeping your resources intact for a later strike. This aligns with the Stoic practice of amor fati. By accepting the current reality of your temporary weakness, you maintain your mental agency rather than wasting energy on a futile struggle. The Buddha teaches that resisting what is only causes suffering. By yielding like water, you remain unbreakable, and they won't see it. Our friend Jung would suggest that by surrendering, you are integrating the reality of your situation rather than projecting a false persona of strength, allowing you to wait in the liminal space until the scales of power naturally tip back in your favor. Machiavelli adds a postscript. This is why I advise you to thoroughly crush your enemies. Mercy is a knife turned inward. Concentration and Courtship, Law 23 and 24. Concentrate your forces. Stop being a jack of all trades and a master of none. Robert Greene's quote from Law 23. Conserve your forces and energies by keeping them concentrated at their strongest point. You gain more by finding a rich mine and mining it deeper than by flitting from one shallow mine to another. Intensity defeats extensity every time. Here's the Fab Four breakdown. Machiavelli understood that power is a finite resource. To scatter it is to invite ruin, whereas a single, overwhelming thrust can topple a kingdom. This aligns with the Stoic discipline of focusing only on what is within your control. By ignoring the noise of 1,000 distractions, you direct your will toward a singular aim. The Buddha teaches the power of one-pointedness. When your mind is no longer fragmented by craving or anxiety, it becomes a laser that cuts through illusion. Carl Jung might interpret this as integration of the self. Instead of being pulled apart by competing archetypes or internal conflicts, you gather your shadow and light into a concentrated psychic force, making you an immovable and undeniable presence in any room. Machiavelli has one more piece of advice. Intensity always beats extensity. Find the single fat cow that will provide milk for a long time, rather than chasing 100 scrawny ones. Law 24. Play the perfect courtier. The quote from Greene: "The perfect courtier thrives in a world where everything revolves around power and political dexterity. He has mastered the art of indirection. He flatters, yields to superiors, and asserts power over others in the most oblique and graceful manner. Learn and apply the laws of courtship, and there will be no limit to how far you can rise." Close quote. This isn't about being a suck-up. It's about mastering the social grace required for you to move through high-pressure environments without friction. The Fab Four breakdown. The perfect courtier is the ultimate master of the persona. Jung would view this as the ability to wear the mask required by society without losing one's true soul behind it. It is social fluidity at its peak. Our mentor, Machiavelli, would call this virtue, the ability to adapt your temperament to the times, using charm as a weapon to navigate the halls of power without appearing threatening. And from a Stoic perspective, this is the social duty. You play your assigned role in the play of life with excellence and grace, yet remain internally indifferent to the vanity of the people involved. Our advisor, the Buddha, gives us grounding for this law through right speech and skillful means, using language and behavior, not to deceive, but to harmonize with your environment, ensuring you rise by lifting the energy of the room rather than causing friction. The self-created myth. Law 25, 26, and 27. Law 25. Robert Greene's quote, "Recreate yourself. Do not accept the roles society foisted upon you. Recreate yourself by forging a new identity, one that commands attention and never bores the audience. Be the master of your own image rather than letting others define it for you. Incorporate dramatic devices into your public gestures and actions. Your power will be enhanced and your character will seem larger than life." The Fab Four breakdown. If you look closely, you will see this law is an exercise in Jungian individuation. Instead of being a passive recipient of social conditioning, you consciously shape your persona to serve your higher purpose. Machiavelli would argue that the public only sees what you appear to be. Therefore, the wise leader constructs a character that is both formidable and adaptable. The Stoics remind us that while we cannot control our birth or environment, we have absolute dominion over our character and our inner citadel, our firmly fixed mind, which is self-created, and is the highest form of discipline. Now, to the Buddha, the self is an illusion. If there is no fixed you, then you are free to manifest whatever form best serves the moment, moving through the world with the fluidity of an actor who knows that they are playing a part. Law 26. Keep your hands clean. Robert Greene's quote, "You must seem a paragon of civility and efficiency. Your hands are never soiled by mistakes and nasty deeds. Maintain such a spotless appearance by using others as scapegoats and cat's paws to disguise your involvement. The Fab Four breakdown. Machiavelli viewed this as a necessity of statecraft. To maintain the love and respect of the people, a leader must delegate the dirty work to others, ensuring their own reputation remains untarnished. Jung might see this as a dangerous game with the shadow. By externalizing the nasty deeds onto a scapegoat, you are literally projecting your collective darkness onto another to maintain your public light. From a Stoic lens, this is about protecting your reputation as a tool for future good. If your name is dragged through the mud, your ability to act virtuously in the future is diminished. The Buddha offers a warning here. While you may hide your hands from the world, the law of karma, cause and effect, knows the intent behind your action. True mastery in this law requires a deep understanding of consequence and the detachment to stay above the fray. Jung. The first half of life is about building an ego. The second half is about realizing that ego is a costume. Law 27, the cult-like following, is simply what happens when a person becomes a living symbol. People don't follow you. They follow the myth you've built. Law 27. Play on people's need to believe a cult-like following. Robert Greene's quote, "People have an overwhelming desire to believe in something. You can become the focal point of such desire by offering them a cause, a new faith to follow. Keep your words vague but full of promise. Emphasize enthusiasm over rationality and clear thinking. Give your new disciples rituals to perform. Ask them to make sacrifices on your behalf. In the absence of organized religion and grand causes, your new belief system will bring you untold power." The Fab Four. Breakdown. I'm Earl. Law. 27 is the third rail of power. It's where influence crosses over into something almost supernatural. It's about the gap between a cold reality and a shimmering fantasy. Let's see how the Fab Four handle the idea of becoming a cult leader for profit. Jung speaks as he leans forward. Greene has stumbled into the religious instinct. You see, every human has a hole in their psyche that was once filled by myth and gods. In a secular age, that hole is empty and painful. If you provide a cause, you aren't just a leader. You become a projection screen for their shadow and their ideal self. They don't follow you. They follow the miracle they think you represent. Now, the Buddha softly speaks. It is the ultimate attachment. The follower seeks to escape the suffering of their own life by clinging to a new faith. But as Greene suggests, this faith is built on vague words. It is a house made of smoke. You are not leading them to enlightenment. You are leading them to a deeper sleep. To use Law 27 is to become a merchant of illusions. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic, could hardly wait to speak. It is the height of vanity. A man of virtue seeks to wake people up to their own reason, not to dull it with rituals and sacrifices. But I will admit, even Rome needed ceremonies to keep the fractured pieces together. But to do it for personal power, that is a betrayal of the Logos, that divine, rational principle that orders and governs the universe. This was raw meat for Machiavelli, who spoke with a cynical grin. A merchant of illusions, perhaps, but look at the results. People want to be led. They beg for a ritual to perform because it gives their boring lives a rhythm. If you don't give them a cause, some demagogue will. To master Law 27 is to understand that the crowd prefers a beautiful lie to a hard truth. Greene tells you to emphasize enthusiasm over rationality because logic doesn't start revolutions, but a new faith can topple empires. Jung's takeaway: people are looking for a tribe where their values are reflected. Machiavelli's takeaway: use symbols and shared enemies to bind your audience to your brand. The Stoic/Buddhist warning: do not become so lost in the mask of the leader that you forget your own truth. Law 28. Enter action with boldness. Robert Greene's quote: if you are unsure of a course of action, do not attempt it. Your doubts and hesitations will infect your execution. Timidity is dangerous. Better to enter with boldness. Any mistakes you commit through audacity are easily corrected with more audacity. Everyone admires the bold. No one honors the timid. Machiavelli is salivating. Finally. Action is the only thing the world respects. Hesitation is an open door for your enemies. If you're going to strike, strike so hard they don't see the doubt in your eyes. Boldness hides your blunders. Buddha responds quietly. Boldness is often just the ego screaming to be noticed. A man who rushes in with audacity to cover a mistake is only going to dig a deeper hole in the sand. Real power is the bold choice to do nothing until the time is right. Marcus Aurelius nods to Buddha. I agree. Boldness without justice and reason is a betrayal on one's nature. Be bold in your principles, not just your theatrics. This has Carl Jung grinning. Boldness, he says, is the rebel archetype breaking the chains of the internal critic. So entering with boldness is a psychological exorcism. It kills the timid, eternal boy within you and gives birth to the king. Law 29. Plan all the way to the end. Here is Robert Greene's quote: the ending is everything. Plan all the way to it, taking into account all the possible consequences, obstacles and twists of fortune that might reverse your hard work and give the glory to others. By planning to the end, you will not be overwhelmed by circumstances, and you will know when to stop. Gently guide fortune and help determine the future by thinking far ahead. You play chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Earl observes, Law 29 is the antidote to Law 28's recklessness. It's the difference between a fireworks, the boldness, and the guided missile, the finely tuned plan. This is where the adults separate themselves from the dreamers. The Fab Four's observations: the Stoics are hard about this. To act without seeing to the end of your actions is to plan like a child. A Stoic contemplates to the end, including the premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. If you haven't planned for the collapse, you haven't planned at all. The end is the only thing that justifies the beginning. Reflect on that. Machiavelli nods slowly. Strategy is a long game. Marcus. Most men are blinded by the immediate spark of a win. They get victory drunk and stop thinking. They leave the door open for a counterattack. You must plan for the moment of victory. That's when you are most vulnerable. Know when to stop, or the sun will set on your empire before you've tasted the wine. Buddha heard them both, and with a smile he says, you both seek to guide fortune, yet the only thing that is certain is change. Do not become so attached to your plan that you lose the ability to breathe when the plan dissolves. Now Jung offers, the end is often a psychological projection. We think we are planning for a promotion or a win, but we are actually chasing an archetype of arrival. We've made it. Law 29 is about the purpose of the journey. If you don't visualize the completion, your shadow will sabotage you halfway through because it fears the responsibility of success. You want to stop reacting and start orchestrating. Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. Here's Greene's quote, "Your actions must seem natural and executed with ease. All the toil and practice that go into them, and also all the clever tricks, must be concealed. When you act effortlessly, as if you could do much more. Avoid the temptation of revealing how hard you work. It only raises questions. Teach no one your tricks, or they will be used against you." Earl's comment, Law 30 is the final polish on the mask. It's about the illusion of grace. In a world that loves to hustle hard and show every drop of sweat, Greene tells us to keep the engine room locked and the deck spotless. The Fab Four's perspectives, Machiavelli leans back, relaxed. This is the greatest weapon of the prince. If the public sees you sweating, they see your limitations. If you make it look easy, they assume your power is limitless, that you have reserves they can't even imagine. In this environment, revealing your toil will be seen as a plea for pity. A leader doesn't want pity, he wants AW. Buddha shakes his head and smiles. It is a heavy burden to pretend you are creating a second life, just to hide the first. The effortlessness comes when the doer and the deed are one. But Greene's version is a performance. It is a lie told to the world to maintain a gap between the master and the mark. The emperor, Marcus Aurelius, is writing in his journal, "Toil is the natural state of man. To hide it is to be dishonest about our shared nature. However, I understand the utility. A general who looks panicked makes his soldiers retreat. There is a stoic calm that mirrors this law, not to deceive, but to provide a steady center for others. Do the work, but do not brag of the burden." Carl Jung recognizes this ploy. It's the magician archetype. The magician never shows how the trick is done because the mystery is the power. If the eternal boy shows off his hard work, he's looking for a good job from his father. The mature person doesn't need the good job. He lets the result speak for itself, maintaining the mana, the spiritual weight of his presence. The executive strike, Law 28, 29, and 30. This is the triad of professional mastery. Boldness, 28, planning, 29, and effortlessness, 30. Marcus Aurelius. If it is not right, do not do it. But if you do it with the full weight of your soul. Make your accomplishments seem effortless, not because you're lazy, but because your preparation was so thorough that the execution appears like nature itself. The juxtaposition, the mask versus the soul. Earl speaks to Buddha. Buddha, Machiavelli is nodding at Law 26. Keep your hands clean. He loves the idea of using cat's paws to do the dirty work. The Buddha replies, "It is a clever trick for the world of men, Earl. But the karma, the cause and effect, remains. You may keep your physical hands clean, but the intention stains the mind." Machiavelli. Winking, and ever the pragmatist replies to them, "Perhaps. But a stained mind in a palace is better than a pure mind in a dungeon." And Earl, putting a bow on the analysis, in closing says, "And there is the divide. Do you plan to the end, or do you let the end find you? These laws are the tools of the director." Thank you for watching. Leave a comment. Your comment may be someone else's survival guide. And click on like and subscribe if you haven't already. Look for the laws 31 to 40 coming soon. And when the time is right, go to the channel, Wisdom of Jung Machiavelli Buddha and the Stoics, to view the available wisdom and insights our videos cover. Our aim is to give every man and woman an opportunity to be as powerful as they can imagine. See you on the next video. Keep your mind tight and stay loving.